So I had an interesting idea. What if I took some of these bottom-dwelling ice cubes and scooped them into a little clear plastic box and then put a little printout, like this one, on top of the ice cubes and then place that whole situation into my unsuspecting scanner, which I keep under my desk, and then put a little white cardboard box over the whole thing to kind of contain the madness. And then hope and pray that this condensation spot won't permanently damage my scanner. Well then, what might that madness look like? Well, it turns out it looks a little something like this. Which, at first, I found a little disappointing. My thought had been that those small ice cubes would fracture the design on the printout in unpredictable ways that might look really cool. You know, like a cracked mirror or something. But instead, they mostly just kind of obscured the design, and I hadn't really counted on that condensation. But after the initial disappointment, I realized this sort of condensated and clouded blurriness is actually pretty cool in its own way. And it's actually kind of less literal. And once I mess around with the colors and stuff on these, they end up pretty cool. So here I'm just first cropping them and just getting rid of the stuff that isn't the composition, I guess you could say. And then I just start to play around with the colors and really like max out on the saturation. Watch this. I mean, it's, you know, I'm really pushing it too far technically, like from a technical point of view. But I like it. It becomes this sort of really juicy, hot, summery kind of design that invokes melted lollipops and sweaty makeout sessions on the beach, you know? This one, I thought this one was pretty cool, but I end up kind of ditching this for this video because it was the only one I did that was sort of like this. I tried some different types of designs, but I ended up just settling on the circular ones. But I'm still cropping that. I might use it for something else, or I might just do a bunch of other ones in the future. So I still decided to prep this one. Here comes the insane saturation push. And it really kind of comes alive when I do that, I feel like. I did some versions too, I'm not showing you here, but where I would use the color range selection and choose the kind of white, grayish tones in the ice cubes and kind of get rid of that. But I liked something I discovered as I did more of these scans, and you see it in this one, is that if I waited a bit before I scanned the thing, the ice cubes would melt and you get this is really more just water rather than ice cubes, but it's kind of an icy water that stays in a certain shape. So anyway, after I prepped a bunch of scans, I decided I need to kind of standardize the compositions a little bit. So I made this little template just so I can kind of center these designs. You know, the process of scanning these, like putting together the little plastic box, putting the printout in there with the ice cubes, it's all very chaotic. I have very little control of what happens. So this was, I guess, the graphic designer in me attempting to control the situation just a little bit. Just get them centered and just making them good fodder for some kind of graphic design idea. And I didn't yet know what that graphic design idea would be. And I suspect that I'll try a bunch of different things with these. This is more just like raw materials for some kind of, you know, it could be posters, it could be anything. But I decided, what about this sticker? The sticker that was in the original designs, maybe I could kind of riff on that. And I'm making a bigger sticker here. So this is just, again, a template that I'm drawing to figure out the position, the rough position of the sticker on the designs. And then I'm going to make these rules. And I'm thinking I can write something on these, like using my handwriting. I like the idea of, you know, this is like kind of a digital project, but I want it to be a little bit more human, a little bit more manual. So I'm gonna print this out and write something or other on it. But first I thought I would come up with a little icon here, and my idea in the end was to write these little, since I described these abstract images as sort of a horny teenage dream or whatever crazy thing I said earlier, I thought maybe I can write little personal memories of hot, playful moments from my younger years. So I sort of decided to make an icon here that can kind of almost be a prompt for that kind of message, you know. And I was interested in just doing a pictogram for that rather than writing anything, like not so that the only text on the label would be my handwriting. And here I'm drawing a heart, but then I realized that there's a quicker, easier way to make a heart, which is just draw a line like that and then just thicken the line. And there you go. That's a heart. So I'm trying to make a little cloud with a heart, almost like a sun sticking out from behind it. And I guess my thinking on that is just like hot summer days, young love, you know, that sort of thing. Maybe it's a little dreamlike too. So I'm messing around with this. The alignment is off here, but I fix that later. We'll fix it in post. And then I end up also... I tried another idea too, because I wasn't like 100% sold on this cloud icon thing. I thought maybe I could make one that had like a heart with like a sweat drop coming off it. Maybe that could be a more like sexual thing too. So I did that. I did like a little, I tried different sizes, and I tried to have a kind of a highlight in the teardrop there, or sweat drop. But I ended up ditching that. Here I'm going back to the original icon I made, and I'm just using these spacers to figure out the positioning. That's very old school way of doing it. All your design professors out there will tell you not to do it that way. I don't really care what they say. And then I'm just gonna put these on a sheet, print them out, and then here I am writing some horny notes, just like some memories from, I don't know, sort of college and beyond, I guess. Different women, like I'm some sort of playboy. I have limited but valuable experience, is what I'd say. And so then I scan it back in, and I do it this way too, because I like that it gets like a little bit imperfect, just using a laser printer. So, you know, get a tiny bit of texture in there. And then here I'm just positioning it into my template. And then I want to kind of make it a little askew, like it's really a sticker that's been put on maybe some kind of plastic case. It's almost like a CD case or something, I'm thinking. And then I'm also playing with the idea that you can kind of see through this image, that it's maybe dimensional, and then the sticker is wrapping around and coming back on the other side. So that's kind of what you're seeing to the right there. And I'm kind of playing around with different opacities and stuff, like, you know, maybe you just kind of sort of see it from the back, and then putting like a subtle shadow around the edge of the sticker to make it just a tiny bit dimensional. Yeah. Look, here's a close-up on what that looks like when it's printed like that. I think it's kind of nice, you know? It just has that more handmade feel, and so this is kind of what I've got at the end of this. But it's not really the end. I'll probably make more of these, because just as I finished putting these together too, I had this whole other idea. Like, what if I kind of imported these scans, and try to kind of crumple them up in 3D in Blender. I think that could be a cool thing, but that's probably going to be a whole other video if I choose to do that. Well, let me know, I guess, if you're interested in seeing that. Otherwise, I might just experiment with that on my own. I don't need you. I don't need your validation. Would be nice, though. Anyway, so let me know if you want to see that. And of course, do all those things you're supposed to do at the end of YouTube videos, like liking them and subscribing to the channel and commenting, I guess. Whatever you want to do. And then I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.